Your Run for Glory is sponsored by
Ultra Slim Fast, the delicious, healthy way to lose weight fast. Ultra Slim Fast. Samsonite, our strengths are legendary. The OPT National High Point Series is heating up in all classes. Grand Haven, Michigan hosts the OPT fleet as they ready themselves for the rough waters of Lake Michigan.
Hello, everybody. I'm Art Ekman on the Evolution Marine Pace Boat as we wind our way through the Grand River out toward Lake Michigan with a tremendous field of racers ready to go right behind us. The race course is fairly simple, offshore-wise, but winds out of the northwest are expected to make this the roughest ride of the season. Today's race marks the return of veteran Bobby Moore. The original throttleman, the very first in the business, is matching his talents with Ike Batista in the Spirit of the Amazon. Also in the Superboat class, Team USA, Don Johnson. Many of the veterans feel that he is due after some outstanding performances in the last couple of races. But the weather conditions probably will favor the V-bottom. John Garrett, in excess, the points leader, will be positioned well in this race. The closest competition, points-wise, is in the open division. There we have father and son combination, the D'Elias, leading the points, but as yet, they have not won a race on the season. They would like to get that very first victory of the season on their way to a possible championship. But right behind them, Joe Mock and Dirty Laundry. He comes off 2 consecutive victories. He'd love a third in a row. Working with us today, Jim Hendrick. Jim?
Art, these OPT drivers and classes today better be ready for Lake Michigan because it can get just as rough as any ocean you'd want to see. The attrition could be high. Now the throttlemen are going to have to be very, very leery to read that water. They can fall in the holes, hit waves, and sometimes it'll surprise you. Parts of the lake will be different than other parts of the lake. They're going to have to adjust or the attrition will be high.
So that you can see what this course looks like, let's take a closer look. The fleet will start just off the mouth of the Grand River and proceed north along the shoreline through checkpoint 1. The Grand Haven fans will get an excellent view of the race from here. Checkpoints 2 and 3 will make up the first turn, where navigation won't be much of a difficulty. The rough waters of Lake Michigan will more than make up for anything but a leisurely cruise. The waters here close to shore, hard to read, and doubly dangerous. Now, after making checkpoint number 3, the course heads south 8.5 miles to checkpoints 4 and 5 at the second turn. It's just a short sprint from checkpoint number 5 to the start-finish line, finishing a lap of 17 miles. Each class must make a predetermined number of laps to complete today's race. 9 laps and 153 miles for Superboat and Open, 102 miles, 6 laps for Pro 1 and 2.
Earlier, the teams were preparing for one of the roughest races of the season, Jim.
Yes, not only mechanically, not only hull-wise, but mentally. You must prepare yourself for Lake Michigan. I've been on this water a lot of times. It has sunk huge freighters, much less these boats that anywhere from 28 up to 50 feet.
Experienced veterans with some butterflies right now.
Well, Don Johnson doesn't seem to be feeling butterflies. His crew is getting ready. And, you know, he's finished second and third the last couple of times out. Many say that Don Johnson is due for a victory.
We're overdue, I'll tell you that. We've been running hard all year. We're second in the standings for national champions, and if we can get a win or two going here, we'll be fine. You know, we've just been plagued with little, you know, nitpicky problems that are part of racing, but real disappointing, and we're hoping that we got them behind us and can go out and do our thing.
Well, this week has been full of activities, like the parade in downtown Grand Haven. Despite the inclement weather conditions, the entire community celebrates the Spirit of America Festival in what started out as a picnic in 1924, celebrating the U.S. Coast Guard's birthday, has now mushroomed into a regional event.
And it's a fine parade all the time, Art. And speaking of parades, the boats are coming out of the slip, now heading out to open waters to get ready for this race here on Lake Michigan. Leading the way, Dirty Laundry, number 2, Joe Mock. We'll be back with all the action, the run for glory, after this timeout.
Points race is really heating up. Those trailing still have ample time of catching up, Jim.
Yes, they do, and here's what they're going to vie for today, Art. 500 points for first. place, and of course, right on down the line.
And you add 1 point for every boat that you finish ahead of.
And that's, of course, put in there to break any ties. Looking at the Superboat point standings to date, 377-point lead for In Excess over Team USA, while Popeyes is only 401 off the pace, or 24 points out of second.
In the open class special edition, with only a 124-point lead over Dirty Laundry, and right behind them, 190 points off the lead is Recovery, still within shooting distance.
In Pro 1, it's a slim 134-point lead for High Risk, Rick Felson's boat.
Pro 2, Gazelle Brothers have a sizable lead, 415 points. It would take a major surge or a near total failure to close the gap.
Here's the Evolution, the pace boat, and we're getting set to go. In the Superclass, Payless, Eric's Reality. Then the Bud Dry Boat with Jeff Sofer. Popeye's Diet Coke with Chuck Norris at the wheel. Insatiable, driver Barry Roth. Lucky Strike, Phil Mashinsky. Team USA with actor Don Johnson. Spirit of the Amazon, a foreign entry, Ike Batista at the wheel. Pete Markey teams up with Bruce Jenner in Little Caesars. And Jaguar Marine with Craig Berry and Jack Clark. Apache Kid, Alan Feingold. In Excess, our leader in the class, John Garrett.
Here's the start of the race now. On the outside, In Excess, Apache Kid, Lucky Strike, 3 V's, and Team USA, the big cat out in front.
Take a deep breath, because this water, my friend, if you've never seen it, hold on to your hats. This is going to be one whale of a race.
A spectacular fleet In Excess just by a nose, but look at on the near side, Team USA, woo, they go up into the air.
He really flew about 20 feet there, and then he landed on his stern, and it just slapped that bow forward. That got their attention. He does it again. Just watch that boat to the right of your screen. Oh, my goodness. We're in a rough part of Lake Michigan. Now we're going to In Excess, taking the lead a little bit over the Lucky Strike as they come along the shoreline.
Apache Kid coming on the outside.
Oh, look at that boat come. He's in smoother water. Can you believe that this course right here along the spectator fleet changes with currents, rocks, and rollers? If you're lucky to find clean water, you can get out in front.
Can you imagine being in that spectator fleet as those boats go by?
Yeah, it's a great sight. Here's the milling point now for the open class. They're about to start.
Let's take a look at the starting lineup special edition with John and J.D. D'Elia. Then Dirty Laundry, Joe Mock and Harold Smitty Smith. Gentry Turbo Eagle with Bob Kaiser and Errol Lanier. Slim Fast Recovery. Stuart Hayham, chairman of the board. Nuri Sabunja. A new boat in the fleet, Alize Veet. Warhawk with Ron Gift and Carl Warren. Don Q. Crystal. The Sorales Brothers. Miss DOC, Blue Max.
And you know, Crystal Gerstner in the Blue Max DOC is actually the only woman in the fleet today. She better hang on. She's tough.
Here's the start now, and look at on the near side. Gentry Turbo Eagle, Bob Kaiser, really driving it hard. It's the best we've seen them run all year.
You notice something? He's coming right off the top of the waves, and that's what's important. And the cat can fly that way. As we look at Don Johnson in second place, and in just behind him, who do we have?
Phil Mashinsky and Lucky Strike as they're catching up to Apache now. A 3-way battle. There's really no margin for error here, Jim.
Well, actually, they're at the smoothest part of this course they're going to see. You can see how the beach is laid out in the hills of this part of Michigan, Grand Haven, and they can really get some speed here. But when they get around the first turn, look out, it's all going to change.
You'll hear a similar statement from auto racers. It's nice knowing the guy racing next to you. You can trust the veterans to stay out of trouble more and not get you into an unavoidable situation.
And Don Johnson, with Richie Powers at the throttles, takes a little bit of a lead over Phil Mashinsky as we get down to that first turn. This is a 17-mile lap.
They've been testing this boat in Miami. The boat is moving 15 miles an hour faster than the New Orleans race, which is awesome when you consider the fast laps that Don Johnson and the crew turned before losing the transmission late back in the open class, Jim.
And it's still the Gentry Turbo Eagle in that encapsulized, beautiful boat, really riding good for Bob Kaiser and Errol Lanier.
In the pre-race preparation for this boat, they changed the gear ratios. They completely are reevaluating all aspects of their program, and it's nice to see some results right here early.
We're looking at Spirit of the Amazon. It's a sister ship to Eric's Reality. The only difference, few strakes and a 4-man encapsulated cockpit as opposed to Eric's Reality 2-man.
That 48-foot Cougar is really racing well. Bobby Moore and Ike Batista, they're making a challenge for second. Here's Lucky Strike coming into the picture. We've got a real good competition. Such close racing right now here for second place with Don Johnson out in front. There's Apache Kid.
We have 3 boats challenging now. Coming up, 2 of them are deep V's. The Apache Kid and the Lucky Strike. We've just passed checkpoint 2, heading for checkpoint 3, and there's your leader. He's going to get a challenge. Don Johnson in the 50 Team USA Catamaran.
Interesting race strategy here. After a second and third, going out and making the other boats try to keep up with him. This boat is so close to victory right now. They finally got the new props they've been waiting for almost 2 months.
And it seems to be worth the wait as they set the early pace here at Grand Haven on Lake Michigan. We'll be back with more action.
Hendrick.
Look at the battle we've got right now. Here's that 50-foot cat coming up to checkpoint. Whoa, look at Don Johnson's boat come right out of the water. And he's going to get a challenge right now as he goes toward checkpoint number 4 from our foreign entry.
Spirit of the Amazon, number 63, really putting on a chance. Oh, what a race this is. He's accelerating. Don Johnson looking like he's having a little bit of trouble with the rough water.
And the South American veteran, Ike Batista, facing the waters of the Great Lakes for the first time in his career, plows through that water as he takes the lead.
He's an experienced racer, but it must be good to have that veteran Bobby Moore right next to him. Don Johnson, what a challenge. Johnson has been in a highly publicized competition with fellow movie star Chuck Norris.
Don Johnson and Chuck Norris battling it out on the high seas, challenging each other for victory. A seasoned director couldn't have cast 2 better superstars for the part if he tried. Both have tough guy images. Both started at the top in offshore racing, and both have met with early success in their powerboat racing careers. Johnson won the Superboat World Championship in his 2nd year in the sport, and this year, campaigning a boat he owns and helped design, the Team USA. Norris, who has taken the helm of the Popeyes Diet Coke in owner Al Copeland's absence, has an impressive win under his belt at Long Beach, California, and finds himself right in the thick of the Superboat National Points chase in his rookie year. The competition between the 2 celebrities was most evident in the recent Miami, Florida event, where they battled bow to bow, deck to deck for most of the race. Is there a rivalry developing between the 2 superstars of the screen at offshore racing?
Friendly rivalry, of course. Beating Don at Long Beach was a great thrill because, Don won the world title in '88. He's been racing for several years, and to beat him on my first outing was really a thrill for me.
And you won't let him forget it.
I'm not going to let him forget, no. If I beat him today, he'll never forget about it.
Listen, I'll tell you what, he's got a good team over there. Popeyes is one of the best race teams. They've been my nemesis for a long time. A couple years ago, I got the title Chicken Killer when I won the World Championship. Oh, he'll love that when he hears that. But, when we joke around a lot and we have a lot of fun with it and everything, but when we get out on the race course, the fun's over. We're serious.
Norris and Johnson have lent their big names to the Offshore Professional Tour to help promote the sport, and both are cordial to the press and fans pitside and make themselves available for autographs and photos. But once the green flag is up, each actor is determined to earn his stripes in the cockpit. In short order, both have earned the respect of the veterans on the tour. For Norris and Johnson, offshore racing is the ideal high-speed getaway from a fast-paced and demanding lifestyle. When racing on the ocean, Oscars and Emmys don't count. The only trophy that really matters is the checkered flag. It can easily be said that 1990 was the year that offshore powerboat racing was put on the map, thanks to 2 racers who just happened to have other jobs you might have heard of.
And it looks like Chuck Norris will have the edge in that personal duel as Don Johnson, Richie Powers looking in the port side engine. They're dead in the water, and that means we've got a new leader. Spirit of Amazon is coming on.
The Brazilian kid, Ike Batista, with the veteran Bobby Moore, now goes along the spectator fleet. He has a lead. Amazing.
Ike Batista, working with Precious Metals, his companies in Brazil. And look at this battle right here. Little Caesar's Pizza and the Payless Eric's Reality, a mirror image of last year when they raced each other for the championship.
Yes, these battles will continue. Now, Little Caesars is also a Deep V Hall and a former world champion.
Pete Markey and Little Caesars, he won the Worlds last year after Eric's Reality dominated the season. But oh, look at that rough water action.
Those boats just launch off of those rollers here on Lake Michigan. At the top of your screen, Bruce Jenner. He's also in that boat with Pete Markey. And look at the battle continues. Charlie Marks, the veteran, and throttleman Dan Campbell, new to that team this year.
Oh, it's great to see Charlie Marks' crew working so well right now after a tough start on the season.
You can see the stern drives are laid way back. They ought to keep that nose down, and they launch, and that nose comes up high. And if they don't get off the throttles when they become airborne, the props will wind too tight and they'll break something.
Oh, that's a great shot of the action as we get right down on the props and the drive.
That's one of the smaller class boats being passed right now by these two as the battle continues.
Eric's Reality, 4 1,000 horsepower Jet-3 engines as we zero in on them. Notice the Harrier jet canopies, 2-man side-by-side cockpit. That's a 48-foot English-built Cougar hull.
Interesting, Art, that the boat on the top of your screen is a 47-foot boat, but it's deep V as compared to the catamaran, as this is also a catamaran, as Chuck Norris is creating a rough ride here with Bob Idoni on the throttle.
A little bit back in the pack. Do you think this is strategy or is it out of necessity, Jim?
I would think necessity at this point in time because that boat is not handling those waves as well as the rest of the fleet.
Alan Feingold, Bobby Horn, and Jerry Davis and Apache Kid, after a brilliant start, they've now settled back to a consistent run, Jim.
A 45-foot boat, 3 890 horsepower inboard engines, Merc Cruiser outdrives.
The veterans Jack Clark and Craig Berry in Jaguar Marine looks like they're having a little trouble after a second-place finish at New Orleans.
Here's our season high point leader, John Garrett, in excess and really launching off those waves. You can see the 3 propellers coming right out of the water, smashing down. Ralph Martin, the throttleman, has his work cut out for him today.
Jim, are they hanging back, or is it that burning oil I see in the water?
I believe we're seeing some blue smoke, and that could mean a problem.
Uh-oh, look at here. Gentry Turbo Eagle is down in the water once again, and Dirty Laundry has taken over the lead in the open class.
Joe Mock is going to get a ride, and of course, Smitty Smith from Miami, Florida, doesn't mind this rough water.
Oh, he's won the last 2 races, and there he is on top once again.
Now checking the leaderboard for superboats, it's Amazon, Little Caesars, Payless, Popeye's Diet Coke, and Apache Kid.
We'll be back with more Spirit of America OPT Offshore Run for Glory and a salute to the United States Coast Guard's 200th birthday after this.
200th anniversary of this fine organization.
Admiral, about the anniversary now. What a wonderful celebration this is.
It certainly is. This is our 200th birthday, August 4th, 1990, and what a great place to have it, Grand Haven, Michigan, where we've had so many Coast Guard festivals here in Coast Guard City, USA.
The missions of the Coast Guard have broadened considerably since those early years.
Yes, they certainly have. Now we are involved in law enforcement, interdiction of drugs, both in the air and on the sea, down in the Caribbean, the Gulf Coast, the Pacific Coast, fisheries law enforcement, which is so important in the Pacific Northwest, off the coast of Alaska, the Gulf of Mexico, and up in New England. And in addition to that, environmental protection. I think right now one of the most important things on the mind of the American public is environmental protection. Maritime safety, we can't forget about that. Inspection of merchant vessels, tank ships, passenger ships, so that the people and property in our ports are safe. In addition to that, icebreaking. We run the only icebreakers flying the U.S. flag that carry out the missions of scientific research and national security in the Arctic and the Antarctic for us. We've got recreational boating safety, aids to navigation. We maintain a fleet of buoy tenders that keep the channel markers in place, the buoys, so that commerce can move safely in this country. And of course, military readiness. We're an armed service of the United States. We've participated in every war this country has ever fought. We've got a proud tradition there. We're in the battle plans of all of the combined U.S. commanders, and we're very, very proud of that, too, and that's going to continue.
200 fine years of service from a fine organization who works with us on many, many race sites.
As we pick up the action now in the open class, Jim, it's Dirty Laundry out in front, and Joe Mock has this boat dialed in just where they want it. They've done a little prop work, but other than that, it's just check and recheck.
Heading north along this Lake Michigan course, heading for checkpoint number 2. And earlier, we asked Joe Mock about his strategy for today's race.
Race strategy today, we're fairly close on points to first place. We're in second behind John D'Elia. Our primary strategy will be to stay ahead of him. We have an advantage today with the big boat we have versus his smaller boat. So in the rough water, we should have an advantage if we don't have a breakdown.
Well, his partner Smitty was hoping for rougher conditions. As he puts it, tin bends, fiberglass breaks, and it's the Italian Coupe hull that can take the punishment.
Look at those stern drives working their heart out as we look at a big battle now coming in the open class.
This is for second place, Warhawk. Elise beat. and Don Q. Crystal. They're battling it out. This is interesting, Jim. Two 41-foot Apaches, and really, for the first time in several years in the United States, we're seeing the V-bottom return to the open class.
Yes, and it's the smallest boat in the fleet at 32 feet. That's the Don Q. Crystal. Look at that battle, side by side, heading north up towards checkpoint number 2 along the Michigan shoreline.
On the far side, that's a 32-foot Douglas Skater, a very small, as you mentioned, the smallest in the open class. It's a basic pro stock hull with two 650 horsepower engines, performing well.
This part of the course, these boats aren't bouncing enough. They're just kind of launching off of long rollers, and they look like they're trimmed pretty good and evenly matched at this point.
Oh, what great competition. Elise Veet going right through the gate.
Right up the middle. And look at him come off there, and those stern drives completely come out of the water on Elise Veet and also on the Warhawk.
Here we have the points leader hanging back now in 5th position, Special Edition. You know, John lost a boat in 90 feet of water in this same area before. It looks like they're being a little cautious, Jim.
And I can't blame them. The Special Edition boat is built more for speed than it is to take this pounding of Lake Michigan today.
Stuart Ham and Joey Impression with the new sponsor, Slim Fast Recovery right now. Oh, Joey Impression is so good at that throttle in a throttleman's race.
And they're a lot like, whoa, look at it come out. They're a lot like the Special Edition, built for speed. Now the chairman of the board with Nuri Saburnja and Hurley Step.
Now the engines are sounding fine, but it looks like Nuri is listing a little on the port side, Jim.
The Lamborghini engines are straining, as all the engines are here today, and the boat is running a little bit to the port side. Here's the Blue Max, the Miss DOC, with the only woman in the fleet racing today, Crystal Gershner.
It's an old boat, Jim, raced in the modified class for years. They've added a little length to the nose on that beak. Crystal, boy, she's getting quite a ride right now in the second race of the season.
Here's your Pro 1 leader, Risky Business, and we'll be back with more from Lake Michigan after this.
Finishes. Risky Business is right where he wants to be, up on top, that's for sure. He's second currently in the point standings. He wants to be number 1.
He's heading north up that shoreline of Lake Michigan, Risky Business. Now here's the boat that is in first place in class. It's Rick Filson's High Risk. This time it's called Popeye's High Risk, but the paint job, well, it doesn't show it. At least it doesn't show it until the next race, we're told.
Oh, yeah, by New York, Al Copeland and myself have made a deal. We're going to put Popeyes all over it. It's going to be called Popeyes High Risk. It's exciting for me. I hope it's as exciting for Al, and I hope to give him a national championship.
Well, Rick Felson's in a good position to give him that championship with the last 2 races placing first and also 2/3 on the season.
Risky Business, Popeyes High Risk, Eastern Express gone again at Victor Team. That's the order so far in this race. Oh, look at this boat. In Pro 2, watch this one. This is Splish Splash. That guy got right up at his end. No, take a dive, Splish Splash.
Boy, these waters are just, I think, too rough for a 28-foot scarab, but they don't. They're out there battling their hearts out.
And they lead over Victory Team, Skater Express, Seedfire Racing, and Misbehavin'.
Open class update right now. Elise Veet has taken over the lead in the standings.
Oh, look at that driver just pound down, and the crew is trying to absorb the shock with their legs. They are not sitting down, Art. They are taking the shock with their legs.
Solidly in second place, Dirty Laundry, the red boat. Joe Mock won back here in 1988. It was real foggy. Joey Impression, Ed Collier missed checkpoint 3 for 5 laps. They thought they'd won the race, but when the checkpoint official said he hadn't seen him come by, Joe Mock won the checkered flag. He's got a battle here, Jim.
He surely does. He has slipped back to third now. At the top of your screen, the Warhawk. Cloudy skies here in Michigan, but a rough Lake Michigan. 17-mile laps. Here's your defending champion, Special Edition, trying to do battle with Don Q. Oh! He's about 4 foot off the water and went 30 feet before he came back down. Look at this battle between these 2 fine boats.
A competition for third between the father and son team and the brother team. You've got to have a lot of trust when you race this close together. They can take off a wave and hook right into each other if they're not experienced.
Let's listen to the sound of the engines as they do battle side by side. Our helicopter cameras right down to the deck with these boys as they battle side by side. First give, then take, then give. What a race.
Look at the pounding on the drivers and the throttleman.
Neither boat wants to give up. This is what it's all about. This is competition. This is offshore racing.
Jim, this is definitely the roughest water we've seen all year. But look how the 48-footers span those waves. They make it look easy. This is the leader now in the Superboat division. That's her maiden voyage as far as racing OPT this year, the Spirit of Amazon. What an outstanding performance in his first OPT race, Ike Batista, who loves the challenge.
In the sea, the excitement is really that you really never know what can happen the next minute because of the waves. Each wave is different, each jump is different, so it's different emotions every second, really.
Ike Batista from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, leading in the Superboat class right now with over 4,000 horsepower in the boat.
And the battle for second place in the Superboat division, Payless Eric's Reality and Little Caesars. You see Little Caesars closer to the shore. Look at the seas. They're building up. There's no question about it. 2 years ago, Peter Markey blew a motor here, but he's had great success in the sportsman class a few years ago when he took it all.
Well, he should know these waters. He's from this area. Look at the way that big catamaran is riding. Look at the leap, the deep these are taking in the Popeyes Diet Coke with Chuck Norris and Bob Idoni, not making too much speed and just battling those waves in this catamaran.
Oh, that shot, you can see the depth of the waves very, very well as the seas are reaching a danger point.
You're looking at a 50-foot boat weighing thousands of pounds being tossed around by high waves here on Lake Michigan. That's how rough it is. You would not want to be out there fishing today.
Jim, one wonders how Bob Idoni's holding that boat together with Chuck Norris at the wheel. And here's our leader, the Spirit of Amazon. Bob Idoni said Bobby Moore and the Spirit of Amazon would be my choice to win this race. We'll find out. Meantime, Jim.
No doubt about it. Meanwhile, our leader in the Superboat class is the Spirit of Amazon with Bobby Moore at the throttles. And it's good to see the call go to the old pros. It's like the mid-70s. Idoni, Smith, Moore, Lanier. They are the expert pillars of offshore racing.
As we mentioned before, offshore powerboat racing is the only form of motorsport in which the man behind the wheel does not control the power of his machine. In offshore, that responsibility belongs to the throttleman. Generally, the throttleman is someone who's been around the sport for years and has countless hours of seat time in big boats. When the boat is battling in heavy seas, an experienced throttleman is worth his weight in gold. It's here, in rough water, that the T-man must work the gas sticks to get maximum performance out of the boat and still keep the engine and drivetrain in one piece.
What you're trying to do actually is to keep the speed of the propeller at the same speed the boat's going, where it doesn't jar the gears going the backwards way. So what you're trying to do in actuality is to maintain the propeller speed with the speed of the boat.
The sport of offshore racing takes a toll on the equipment and the men who run it. The constant pounding that the competitors take taxes them physically and mentally. The fatigue can cloud judgment and slow reactions. Over the years, the sport has evolved, and so have the stresses.
I think that the mental part nowadays is probably more taxing than the physical aspect of it. We feel pretty safe in our boats now that we're in the restrained cockpits. We're not getting bounced around as bad as we were before. And in some cases, the boats are a little bit more fragile than what they were we ran 10 or 15 years ago, so you possibly can't really turn them loose as much as you used to. We have to really watch what we're doing. And the machinery costs a lot more than it did 15 years ago. So when you destroy one today, you've wiped out a lot more money than you used to.
In most cases, the owner-driver of these monster machines are successful businessmen who cannot spend every day with the boat. This is where the professional throttleman comes into the picture. The throttleman is usually the crew chief of the race team, whose job it is to make sure that boat is race-ready. This intimate knowledge with the inner workings of the vessel gives the throttleman an advantage in the shop before the race and on the water during the contest.
Well, if you know the equipment, I think that's the biggest asset to throttling. To be a throttleman, I think you got to be a mechanic type person. I think it makes the better throttle position man. You understand the equipment. You think you know how much pressure you can put on the engines and drives and drivetrains. And there's so many little things that can fail during a race that if you're a throttleman that has a mechanical background, maybe you can make some allowances and corrections at that time and help the system finish a race.
Finishing a race, or more importantly, winning, is what competition is all about. In the winner's circle, the driver of an offshore powerboat may get all the headlines, but victory could never have been won without his throttle man.
We're looking at the business end of the throttle man's job. This is the Spirit of the Amazon, the leader in Superboat, as we get close to the end of this race.
Bobby Moore rigged this boat. It is clean as an operating room, let me tell you. Charlie Marks in #1 Payless. It's good to see him back up to form. After a very slow start on the season, he had a 5th place finish, a 9th, a 5th. He failed to start the next race, but he's back there. Last year, Bobby Moore throttled with Charlie Marks throughout his championship season. Now they're racing #1 and 2.
That's going to be the interesting thing this year to find out, since Bobby Moore's running here, if I, as a student, learned anything from Bobby Moore last year. Bobby's going to be the one that I'm going to be running against. And then again, with the new sponsor that I have, Payless Car Rental, I have to make a show for them also. So I've got to go out there and do good.
Well, so far, he's not doing too shabby. He's in 2nd place as our 3rd place boat, Little Caesars, has dropped off the pace. Meanwhile, back in the pack in 4th place is Popeye's Diet Coke. And not picking up too much speed from the last time we checked her.
Well, Bob Idoni's done a good job with this Band-Aid type program right now before the new program takes over and the new boat comes into play. They really were looking as this is a building season for that new program.
Here's your 5th place, Apache Kid. Deep V leaps out of the water, and this is the smoothest part of the course going north towards checkpoint #2.
Jaguar Marine, sluggish but hanging in there.
Greg Berry, a veteran at the wheel, and of course Jack Clark, a builder of boats and a throttle man. He's very wise in the way of offshore racing.
Our points leader in excess, in trouble. John Garrett with his helmet off. This was his first race on Lake Michigan in OPT action. He's the points leader, but it's looking sour now, Jim.
Yes, we saw that smoke coming off that exhaust earlier. Here's the open class leader, Elise Veet.
2-engine V-bottom, the first race in OPT right now, leading the open class division.
Just under 60 mile an hour. That's slow by their standards, but with this water, not too shabby as we look at our 2nd place boat, Dirty Laundry.
He wants those first place points, though. He's hanging right up there. He does have a chance to take over first place in the point standings if he can move up and win this race.
Those 2 Lightning engines have been very, very faithful for him here today. Here's the Warhawk, currently in 3rd, as he passes the Superboat Jaguar Marine.
We zero in on Warhawk right now with 2 Lingenfelder engines. Slim fast recovery. Oh, what a shot. Gives you a good idea from the driver's perspective.
These guys are sitting down where some of them today are standing up. So they are really hanging on as we look at Special Edition, still doing battle side by side with Don Q. Both come out of the water simultaneously. It looks like slow motion swimming.
You know, it also looks like the same shot that we saw earlier in the race. That's how long they've been battling. But they're approaching the south turn right now.
And you know, these guys are really enjoying this competition. They are really, really having a smile on their face. Even though the water's rough, they're enjoying every minute of it. This is what it's all about to these guys.
Oh, it's endurance time right now. The start of the race is forgotten. It's the race to the finish.
These guys are enjoying every minute of this. This is what it's all about to them. US 1 Special Edition filling up our screen, losing a little ground now to the Don Q Crystal as their battle continues. Elise Veet leads open with Dirty Laundry, Warhawk, Slim Fast Recovery, and Special Edition following. In the Superboats, Spirit of Amazon, Payless, Little Caesars, Popeyes, and so on down the line. We've got lots more action coming, and we'll have it for you from Lake Michigan in just a moment.
Up and okay. The rescue personnel on the scene, and we'll have to give you an update of the injuries a little bit later, but Dr. Matt Houghton and his rescue crew doing another superb job, Jim.
Yes, they do prepare for the safety of these drivers. They have a couple of medical helicopters. They have rescue boats in strategic places along the course. Their response time very quick, and that's good for the guys that compete in this kind of a sport.
Well, the water is taking its toll on everyone, but it took a big toll this time. Luckily, we don't see any serious injuries.
Here's our leader in Pro 1, Risky Business. These guys have been second the last couple of races. Today, they're on their way to a checker flag if they can just hold it together.
Oh, they're going to be some tired cookies bouncing up and down like that. In second place, High Risk. He wants to stay close. He's the points leader.
Popeye's High Risk second, followed by Eastern Express, Gone Again, and Victory Team. In Pro 2, it is still the bouncing Splish Splash. I was taking a bath.
Now, Splish Splash, I think that ought to be nicknamed Bang Bang, the way they come down on those waves. But I'm telling you, it takes guts to be in that small a boat out there right now.
Here's the Victory Team. They have another boat in the other class, the P-Boat, 106, and they're both from Dubai in the Middle East, if you will. Visitors to this country racing on the Great Lakes.
The S-108 taking some dangerous territory right there, and that was almost the same type of action that P-20 experienced showdown earlier, and they ended up upside down almost.
There's the teammate boat in the other class, the P-106, also from Dubai, as he passed his teammate's boat. As we look at the leader in open class, Ali's Veet. 3 guys standing up, averaging about 60 miles an hour on this rough Lake Michigan course today.
And, Jimmy, to me, that's a remarkable speed for the conditions that we have. Here's Dirty Laundry in second place. A lot of physical, a lot of mental strain going through, and a lot of strain on the machinery.
You know, they won't feel sore until tomorrow morning when they get up. We're looking at the third place Warhawk out of Pier 33 Marina in St. Joseph's, Michigan. That's where the crew is from, that area. And that's quite a bit south, but on this very same Lake Michigan.
Points leader special edition coming into view. This is not J.D. D'Elia's favorite place to race. In 85, his father's boat sunk. They found it a week later in 88. In the Jaguar, he almost passed out from the heat when his cool suit failed. And look at Jaguar Marine. It looks like they're back up to speed, Jim.
And they have a long way to go because they are in the superboat class. We're looking at the number 5 boat. 5th position, slim, fast recovery, and I guess we should mention again that Stuart Ham gives any prize money he wins to the American Cancer Society.
And that was considerable in the first win of the series in the opening race in San Francisco. Chairman of the board came back then to win at Long Beach in the second race after an 8th place finish in the opening race in San Francisco.
Nuri Sabunja is quite, of course, a competitor as we look at our leader in the superboat. The Spirit of Amazon, averaging over 73 miles an hour in very rough water, and this is the way it stands. Payless is second, Little Caesars, Popeye's Diet Coke, and Apache Kid at this point in the race. We'll be back with more action on Lake Michigan, OPT Racing, after this timeout.
Run for glory, and our leader in the superboat division, Spirit of the Amazon. And Jim, the pounding these guys are taking inside that canopy.
You know, there's been some talk on the OPT official radio that they might shorten this race up because the conditions are getting much, much worse.
Here's Payless Eric's Reality, keeping a smooth pace on a different portion of the course, but in second place in the superboat competition.
This boat, of course, has shields, big windshields, but really doesn't have a complete canopy. Just enough to deflect the water should they nose in. Because if you hit the water at that speed, it's like hitting concrete sometimes.
Uh-oh, Peter Markey's in trouble right now. It looks like they've got some problems mechanically. In the pre-race preparation, they put entirely new engines in Little Caesars Pizza.
You know, they overhaul these engines after every race, and that's quite a cost. They really do.
And Peter told me before, I know this is not going to be a bathtub race like some of the previous spots that we've had on the OPT Tour, and I think we're ready for it, but they're just hanging on right now.
Here's a boat that's taken a pounding this whole race, Popeye's Diet Coke. Look at that water. You can just see it. There's no pattern to the water. Look at it come right off of a wave, a roller, fall into a hole. The course completely changes every 30, 40 feet.
And this is the biggest boat in the fleet taking on these treacherous waters. The rollers, as you mentioned, Jim, really don't have a rhythm to it so that the throttle guy can't time it. And, of course, coming from all directions, you've got to have eyes everywhere. Uh-oh, Don Q. Crystal is in trouble.
Sitting on the end of the bow, Juan and Felix Sorrellis, they gave a battle with Special Edition almost this whole race. They pounded They lost the bottom in Miami. Remember?
That's right. The bottom came out in Miami, so this is the second time they've had this drastic problem, and Lucky Strike is having their problem, so the weather is taking the toll.
In excess, Lucky Strike, Team USA, Insatiable, Bud Dry, all out of this race. Also in the open class, Don Q Crystal, we saw it sinking. Gentry Joe Eagle out early. Showdown, Skater Express, and Team USA, the P-51, is also out in Pro 1. Conch Attack, Great Adventure, and Thin Ice, all boats, 13 in all, have not been able to finish this race, and 2 have sank.
Here's one on the run right now. Leading the open class, Dirty Laundry has taken over the lead. Jim, you've got a lot of unlimited hydroplane experience. How does this compare?
Oh, there is no comparison. The unlimited hydroplanes, who go almost 200 miles an hour in the straightaway, would never attempt to race in this water. They're built for speed. They couldn't take this pounding like these boats have here today.
Elise Viet in second place of the open class right now, and running smooth, the engine sounding good.
And they led for most of the way, but you can't, beat experience of Smitty Smith, boy. He and that Joe Mock have teamed up and they've had a great year.
Well, they're really dialed in. They're looking to take over the points lead with this race right now. Slim Fast Recovery, Stuart Hayham,
and Joey and Prussia. Those guys have teamed up and have very successful. But as we said earlier, this isn't their type of water. They're built for speed rather than a pounding.
Well, it's good now they're in third place. I'm sure they're satisfied right now. They'd love a win, of course, but to be in third place under these conditions is really miraculous.
Here's your top 5 in open class so far in this race and the Superboat top 5. We'll be back with more action from Lake Michigan in Grand Haven, Michigan, after this timeout.
Not a black flag, as they've gone 68 miles, a legal amount of miles to make this race official, but for the safety of the crews and machinery, the water conditions just don't warrant continuing any further, Jim.
Well, Art, with 13 boats out of the race, 2 that have gone under and have to be raised and repaired, and the fact that these guys deserve the win, they've taken a big pounding, why push it? Amazon wins the Superboat class of 71.3 average mile per hour. In the open class, it's Dirty Laundry, Joe Mock, 63.1.
The spectator fleet returns as well as the competitors. Risky Business, our winner in Pro 1. And in Pro 2, it was Splish Splash with their best finish since their second place in Long Beach.
The boats are back in calm water at the pit area. Let's go down to the Pro 2 winners.
Alan, being the only V out there, must have been a big help. You had a great lead.
Oh, it was a big help. We were really pounding through it. It was a rough race.
Rick, how rough was it?
It was real rough. We were straight up and straight down a lot of times. We crashed a few waves over the bow, and we're ducking under the seats. We'd meet down underneath the seats and look at each other and go, well, we're still here, so let's go. Throttle to the floor and hang on.
Winning the checker flag, of course, makes it a lot easier. Let's go to the Pro 1 winners.
Stephen, what was it like now? You've been chasing Rick Felson, and you finally got him in the choppy water.
We sure did. I tell you, Rick's a hell of a competitor. He's tough to beat. But this throttleman here, he just really pulled it through for us through this race, and he really gets a lot of credit. I tell you, he really did his job.
We're really close to Felson, and he's won a couple, and we've had a little bad luck, and maybe it's changing. Yeah. I think it's time.
Offshore racing represents many countries, but the flag that really counts, the checkered flag.
Well, Jim, the checkered flag for the 3rd consecutive time for this team in the open division. And Smitty, how was it out there?
It's quite rough today, and it was building quite a bit all the way around. It was quite a bit rougher on the last lap than it was the previous lap.
Such an important victory with the points race so close. Did you have a feeling, Joe, that that flag was going to come out and you better take that lead because you just barely got the lead in time?
We just did barely get the lead in time. I'm sure we both had a feeling it was coming out soon. It had built at least 2 feet in the last lap. It was getting a little dangerous.
Did you have some scary moments out there, Joe?
No, not at all.
Smart crews paced themselves in this rough water on Lake Michigan. Even the winner in Superboat class, Ike Batista, sustained damage to his boat, but after the race.
He did the most important thing. He came through with a victory, and Ike, how's it feel?
It feels wonderful. It's just very exciting to be here for the first time and to win for the first time.
Was it a little scary out there at times?
Yes, absolutely. It was scary. We were airborne many times, and it was a strange feeling.
Bobby, what a great thrill it must be to get back into the battle, back on the waters.
Yeah, we had a great boat today, and Ike did a terrific job driving. I was really impressed with it. The engines, the Gentry motors, and the Kikeva stern drives, and the Cougar Cat really work well today.
Popeyes is pulled within 324 points of the leader in excess, while Don Johnson and Team USA, who went into today's race in second place, slips to fourth.
And the big story comes in the open class, where Dirty Laundry, with the win, moves into first place over Special Edition by 51 points.
And it's going to be a very close race, Art, in that division all the way down. High Risk leads now by 83 points over Risky Business. Great Adventure leads Misbehavin' in Pro 2.
Next week on ESPN, OPT Racing from New York, and you can see in person the National Championships in Marathon, Florida, and the World Championships in Tampa.
Art, high attrition, no serious